The lovely water of Scrap Mechanic. The entire time that I've been playing Scrap Mechanic, the water has been one thing I have been unable to conquer. Every time I've tried to make a water-going craft of some sort, it has sunk like a rock, or just literally not worked at all. No matter what I've used a level 3 wood, I've used nothing but the bubble stuff, never been able to get it to work. I wanted to build an amphibious car, I wanted to do something that was on land and it was in the water. I was able to build this. Now it might look a bit crazy, and I appreciate that it's not exactly ideal in survival due to the fact that there's 4 thrusters and loads of wheels. But for me, this has to have been my greatest achievement on Scrap Mechanic. It's a little bit like a Batmobile, and it works pretty well on land. So I'll just talk you guys through it, and what it is, and how it works. And hopefully you'll understand. So, what we've got straight away, you'll notice, we've got these wheels on the side. We've got these 4 here and these 4 here. Now these 4 wheels aren't connected to anything. There's no bearing connecting to them. These are literally to help me float and to keep me stable. Then we have got wood tier 3 block underneath, as well as bubble brick, bubble block, whatever you want to call it, to help keep me nice and light and floaty. On the back we are dual wheeled on the left and dual wheeled on the right. These are powered. There is no suspension, it's all solid. Likewise on the front, dual wheels on the left, dual wheels on the right. These are steered, but they're steered like a little bit further back, just to give me a little bit more space. Now, if you notice, we do have quite a few cones on here. Now, the cone itself is the lightest and most buoyant part in the entire of survival Scrap Mechanic. So I decided I'd throw a load of that on just to kind of help keep me float and keep me nice and light. Obviously, we've then got 2 engines each side. These are the survival engines, so I don't need a fuel tank for these. All of my wheels, I'm front and rear wheel drive, and we are driven by an electric motor. Now, you might see this bit of logic up here. Now, this logic is in fact to help me steer when I'm on the water. As you'll see, we can go around the land. We're pretty good on land, and then we hit the water. And you'll see we float pretty well, and this amazed me. As soon as I drove this thing into the water and it didn't sink, my mind was blown. Quite literally, my mind was blown. Anyway, thrusters. We've got a button to turn them on, and if you notice, all the logic is now lit up. The thrusters will not work unless all logic is lit up. And that is perfect, because what that means is we've got no mishaps happening. There's no way that I can accidentally press anything and my thrusters turn on. I have to press buttons to make the thrusters on. Now my steering, what happens is if you watch this logic, I'm going to turn to the left. So what happens is the left thruster turns off and I turn to the left. And then if I want to turn to the right, it's the same thing. Right thruster turns off and I turn to the right. Now these are all activated on push buttons. So we've got a push button here, and this push button, as you see, has to be off in order for us to have the thruster on. So it activates that logic block there. When we push the button, it turns off, which would turn the thruster off, and the push button knocks out that side, which obviously then kills the AND gate, and it turns us. But this is what my build was, and I was absolutely stoked with this. I was so pleased, I couldn't believe it. I wanted to make it look a little bit fancier or a little bit better. So what I did is thanked the guys who turned up to the stream very much for their help, which brings us to this bad boy over here. So what have I done to this? Well, basically it's pretty simple. I've thrown a lot of colour on it, thrown some lights on it, and I've thrown some suspension on it. So I've got sports suspension at the front, and I've got off-road suspension on the back. Now if I come to the back, you'll see that we've also got more thrusters. Over here on the back we've got 2 creative thrusters. Now what I've done over here is I've swapped the creative thruster at the top out for a survival thruster. 1, just look at it, it looks so much better. And 2, I just wanted to see, you know, how much they actually drink in fuel. So I've got my fuel tank in here, which is connected up to the 2 survival thrusters because they have to be. The creative thrusters, luckily, don't need fuel. They just run continuously. And I've also thrown another creative thruster on. So I've now got 3 thrusters each side. My reason, I'm not going to lie, for keeping hold of the creative thrusters is because when you're out into the water and your survival thruster dies and you're out of fuel, you've still got a creative thruster that will push you around. It's a little bit of a trick and a cheat, but this is my tested world, so it's not too bad. I've also changed the way that we steer. I made it a little bit easier. It's the same concept in terms of the logic, but instead of putting it on push buttons, I put it on like a and D converter using a bearing and a block and 2 sensors, so that when we're sat in, you see the little block swing around, activates the sensors, which will make us steer in that direction. One thing I didn't know, which is also pretty cool, is the thrusters. Survival and creative, they actually blow different colours. So the survival thruster is purple and the creative thruster is blue, which I think was kind of cool. It was a neat little, I don't know, neat little change, I think. But this is what we have become. I really, really like it. I hope you guys enjoy it, or maybe there's something there that you guys can use. I don't know. If there's anything that you want to know about, just hit me up in the comments and I'll try and get back to you. My first ever amphibious vehicle. Absolutely stoked. I was so proud. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope to see you around. Take it easy. Bye for now. Bye, guys.